My name is Sean Mara. I'm the producer behind Ocean City Monster Building. So, so I took on the project initially. And then initially, like I said back in the theater, we talked maybe for 10, 15 minutes about the actual movie, and then another hour just talking about movies. So he kind of got me in hook, line, and sinker with that pretty much. And then when he showed me the script, he mentioned as well that the script itself was written in his native language, Mandarin. So I felt it was important context to have that, kind of reading the script and how we were going to produce it and bring it to life. As it's very much a story through the lens of a great American film told in the 80s, a golden age of American culture, or the mirage of. So I think the script took a lot of read-throughs, and it took a lot of understanding and stepping out of my own cultural lens of looking at things to be able to fully appreciate it and understand better how to help produce it. Chris was very much involved in the story. He was very much involved in bringing his words to a visual medium, while I was more involved with the actual people behind it in a, I guess, more of a logistic sense of how are we practically going to make this work? How is this going to look? How are these words right here going to be told on screen? These were a lot of challenges, especially back to that last point. There were a lot of hurdles. There were a lot of questions that just kept coming up from actors, like, what does this mean? Why is this monologue 15 minutes? And again, it was came back to that. We had to just kind of talk down all together and give each other a better understanding of where we all come from, where their acting background may have come from, what cultural idea they may have going into it. Collaborating with him was easy, honestly. He was open to ideas at every point, and he was just, if we ever get the chance to do it again, I would do it.
Is this a genre that you have experience with in the past? And following that, how else would you like to explore in the future?
Well, my background is more primarily, in art house as well as comedy. So this was the first mystery cop drama, I guess you could say, if you want to lump it into that genre. It was my first go around with it. So again, it was a lot of research into movies kind of with the same bones. You know what I mean? The traditional murder mystery set in a small town. Detective comes in, something quite isn't right. So we're dealing with a lot of these tropes. So kind of telling them in a new, inventive way was really the challenge. While the script there was, it's the bones of the story are there essentially. What question, who did it, rounding out to it at the end. But again, we just tried to do it original and tried to do it new with what we had.
And after watching the movie, I want to know your personal interpretation of the significance of the lobster.
Significance of the lobsters.
The beginning, when Mrs. Miller, she eats the mac and cheese, she wants it with lobster, so I feel like it's kind of out of desperation, but at the end, the lobster is kind of eaten in celebration. Do you have any opinions on that?
Yeah, I think Chris would probably give you a drawn out metaphor of what the lobster mean. I think more than anything, it's just it's a food that indicates a certain status. When Amy says, I want lobster mac and cheese in the police station, she wants it, she's not going to get it. It was very strange because Chris also insisted on the lobsters being alive for when we were doing that scene. So, there were a lot of questions we had, a lot of things that came up with that. So there was always known there was a significance to them, and I think Yeah, it was, again, it's one of those it's one of many pieces like that in the film that serve as a, I guess, giving more context without, you know, I guess a long monologue to pretty much contextualize it. Yeah.
What's probably your favorite part?
My favorite part of the film? My favorite part watching or to having shot it?
Let's say from the finished product, what was your favorite scene that you seen?
You know, something about the opening scene when we're on the bus. I don't know, something just about the light that day. That the way it was coming through the window, the way the clouds were out, it just felt right. And I don't know, that really was the mood that day too when we were shooting it. It was cloudy, everybody was crying, it was the last day. So I feel like that scene really stuck out to me, especially Julie Shin's performance in that scene as well. She really gave a lot of herself into that character. I also enjoyed this chase scene as well. Chase scenes are another just classic American trope. So to get to do that was very exciting. We basically had the whole school to do it to ourselves, so it's like a little sandbox for the day, you know. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of parts in the film that kind of stick out, that kind of have. They're told through the lens of it itself being iconic, you know, and that's a lot of the film influence that comes into it. You know, Chris is obsessed with classic American films. He loves Wim Wenders, Paris, Texas. Maybe not an American filmmaker, but he loved the idea of it, of making a great American film. So there's a lot of points in it that I guess give me that satisfaction out of it. Also a lot of just the landscape shots too. I feel like give you a great idea of I don't know how calm some of those days were on set. So yeah, I mean, upstate New York is a beautiful place to shoot, and probably would do it again.
You talked about limitations with the film, specifically like I'd say from a logistical standpoint, right? Like what was probably like one of the hardest days that you had to grapple with given your limitations related to budget and location?
One of the hardest things was, it might not look like a lot, but a lot of the production design behind some of those sets, I mean, it required, you know, being understaffed. I mean, I was one of a few producers who were actually on set. So I'm here one day, I'm going to the next set to dress that one. You know what I mean? And then I'm coming back over here to break this one down. So a lot of the short staffness made it hard, especially in those settings, where we had to lift, you know, TVs out of rooms, lift furniture out. I guess a lot of the blue collar aspects of filmmaking really took into account in this one. You wouldn't know it either, but in a lot of the police station scenes, you know, we dressed that whole office space with drywall in different spots. So we're basically carpenters for the day too. And that goes back to like the Dogma 95 style of it. It really had a do-it-yourself kind of vibe. So, you know, I hope that kind of is told through it. You know, I mean, a lot of the hurdles we had to jump through to get it made.
So my last question would be, how would you want audiences to walk out of that film feeling?
Feeling something at all, really. I think, you know, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, watching a film. It's not an estimation of how good a film is, if it makes me happy or sad or, you know, a little confused. I think what I want people to come out of this film is just really having taken in the emotions brought out by the performances, and I just want that to stick with people. And I think that's really the end goal of this film. I don't think there's an exact emotion you're supposed to walk out of it with. I think it's something you have to unpack over a couple weeks, months, years. I mean, we'll see.